Hi. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite artist in comic books, which is Neal Adams. If you're trying to collect the entire Neal Adams collection of comic books that he's either done the cover or he's done the interior, it's pretty tough. He must have been a workaholic during the late 60s and 70s. He's got fewer after that, but he did show up. And even recently, he did like a Fantastic Four series. He did a Batman series. He did a Superman series. I have most of those. I'm not going to include that, but I'm touching more on the Silver and Bronze Age stuff. My name's Cellars. If these types of videos are of great interest to you, please click like and subscribe. It'll help out my channel. I'd love to have more subscribers. I'd love to have people viewing as much as possible. I'm including more comic book stuff, even though I do travel, camping, fine art, movies, stories, character arcs, whatnot. Comic books are a part of it as well because they are storytelling and fine art and character arcs as well. So please click like and subscribe. And if you got things you want to say or you're yelling at the TV as you watch this, comment below. You know, one of the important things to remember about Neal Adams is he was really an ambassador. He was a spokesperson for all comic artists, writers, and really helped within the industry to give them the credit that they deserved, because a lot of these writers and artists who created these characters, they did it on, they were just paid as if they were employees at DC or Marvel or whatever the comic company was. And so they own the rights to those characters, and they got to do whatever they wanted with them. And then all of a sudden, some of these characters are making big money. The biggest example was Superman. So when Superman came out in 1978, the creators, Siegel and Schuster, both of them didn't really get any credit for that. Especially like when the TV shows were coming out and the continued comic books, both of them were like dead broke. Neal Adams was one of the ones that came forward. And the reason I learned this was I went to a convention one time and I met Schuster's daughter, who was doing a presentation. And I just asked her, I'm like, hey, what was it like for your father to see just even the opening credits for Superman the movie when it came out? And she was sitting next to him at the time, and she said, oh, we were in tears, and it was so great. And it was just this moment in time where he'd just before that gotten credit, and it was to Neal Adams' credit. And, I'm a huge Neal Adams fan, but she just blurted out his name and talked about how important he was for, fostering in the change in credit that they got. And that was the start, because if you saw the beginning of Superman the movie, they give credit to the writers, the original creators, right there on the screen, and it comes out of you. And they were so excited at that moment. They started to get credit. All artists and creators after that got credit. So he was pretty much the most important person to shepherd in this new time for creators in the industry. And he's one of the most important people in the comic book industry to date. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to start with, he did do a chunk of like Superman type stuff. So I'm going to start with the Justice League, and I only got a few of those. They were mostly covers. So I have Justice League 79, 87, 89. I am missing the one where he did the interior. I would love to get a hold of that. I just haven't found. It's not a super expensive book. I just haven't found the one in the right condition for the right price. And then he also did the cover for 138, which was a little later. And then I only have one of the Action Comics that he did the cover for, and then Superman 210. And Superman 308, Superman 317, and then I got some earlier Supermans. This is kind of a great cover. 234, 222, and then 259. And those would be the adult Superman and Justice League books. Next, I'm going to touch on the Superboy books, starting with the Adventure Comics. This is a series that I wasn't into as a kid. Superman as a little boy just didn't interest me. And now I go back and read some of these books. And some of the Adventure Comics are pretty decent, but the Superboy books are really where it's at. So Neal Adams did a lot of these covers. Adventure Comics 266. 267, 268, 269. That one's a key where it's the first appearance of Mordru. And I've got the second appearance of that. He did the cover for that. 371, 373. That copy's a little beat up. He didn't do any of the interiors on any of these. And then this one's a key, 381, which is where the series shifted from Superboy to Supergirl. And then the Superboys. And I got to tell you, Frank Robbins does a hell of a job writing on these. The cover is Neal Adams for most of these, with the exception of one. But there's a 160. Oh, I need to change this up. 161, 163, 164, and this is one of my favorite covers. I swear to God, I searched around for this for a while because I wanted to find it in a high grade, and I think I did. I think this is, this is above a 9. I'd say that, which isn't too hard to find. This is a 15 center, so that's one of my favorite Neal Adams covers. I swear to God. And then 167. And then 178 actually does have some interior by Neal Adams. So there's that. Let's shift gears now. So now we're going to go into some of the Batmans. And I'll start with Detective. And some of these, he did the interior. And some of these, just the cover. So a 404 is a cover. 405, and this is one of the first big keys for me. I'm a big Ra's al Ghul fan. So any of the points in either Detective or Batman that touch on Ra's al Ghul, I'm all about them. And I think I have pretty much all of them in place. This one is the first appearance of the League of Shadows, or a League of Assassins, I think they're called at this point. And so they haven't introduced Ra's al Ghul. They haven't introduced Talia al Ghul yet. But, he does the cover for this. Detective 408. 411. And this is the first appearance of Talia al Ghul. I was lucky enough to get this book when I was much younger. It was worth something back then, and I think I just got lucky and came across it and got it fairly reasonable. Kept it all these years, so it's part of the Ra's al Ghul collection. And then when we get into Batman, I got 217, which he did the cover for. 221, he did the cover for, and then I don't know how this was part of my collection. I think I'm just lucky because I didn't get rid of a lot of Batmans. I just happened to have this one, happened to have that one. I got 227, which is that sought-after cover, which is a homage to the old Detective comics from the Bob Kane years. I have the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul, which is probably one of my favorite comic books that I own. He did the interior for that. He did the cover. And then the second appearance of Ra's al Ghul, which he did the cover for. And then, let me take these off. And then there's that later series that he did that included Ra's al Ghul, and he did the interior for. So there's Batman 243, Batman 244. That's a great, great book, by the way. It's one of my favorite comic books, too. And then this one, the Ra's al Ghul series is kind of over, but 245, which he did the interior for. And then there's the famous Return of the Joker, which is 251. Mine's a mid-grade. It's got a lot of ticks along here, so it's probably like a high mid-grade, but it's in decent shape. A hard book to come by now. I just happened to get it when I was a kid, so I've had it all this time. And then I've got 255, which has a portion of it has an interior by him, and then also I think that's him on the cover there that did that. So I've got a lot of the important ones. There's a lot of Batman and Detective covers that he did that I'd like to get a hold of. I think it was like 402 or 405. I forget which one it was, but it has the Man Bat in it, and that one is a interior Neal Adams. I'd love to get a hold of that one. But both 402 and 405, I think, or 408, one of those. Both of them are Man Bat books. One of them he did the interior of. And then, of course, Detective Comics 400. I don't have it. I'd love to get a hold of it. So next, I want to touch on some of the other characters that he did within the DC Comics. Most of what I have is DC as far as Neal Adams goes, but starting with Green Lantern. And this is one of the most important books in the Green Lantern series, or just in the Bronze Age of comics altogether. I think I got kind of lucky. This is a book I probably paid more for than a lot of the books I've bought over the years, but I had to take advantage of it. I think it was priced lower than what it was worth, and it's a fairly high grade. It's got a little ding here, a couple of dings, no chips really, but it's definitely above a 7.5, maybe. So, all Neal Adams interior. That's one of the best books. I mean, it's got some of the best writing by Denny O'Neil. So I appreciate that book. I've got 77. The next one, I've got 78. I've got 79. Most of these are decent grade. One or two of them are maybe mid-grade. I've got 80. I've got 81. And I got 82. This one's, I don't want to say it's beat up. It's just discolored a little bit. And then that's where I stop that's where like the continuity stops for me. And I have 86. So I'm missing a couple in there, and I'm looking to get 87 and 85 at some point. So next is I'll stop that mess. Next is the Flash series. I'm missing a lot of these, but I'd like to get a hold of some of them. There's a whole bunch of backup stories that he drew in these that are really great. And most of them are Green Lantern, so it's a kind of a continuation of Green Lantern. But 219, which he did the backup story in. 226, he did the backup story in that one. And all of these also include the Green Lantern. So, and then I got a few that, I'd love to get into some of the horror books that he did the covers for. But, I started with Phantom Stranger. That's, I think, the only one that I have. And then I have 3 of the Spectres. I'm missing number 2. But I've got 4, which is a little beat up. And then 5, which is a great book. So that's all of the DC that I have for Neal Adams. This one's a one-off that I took a while to find it in the right condition. I wanted to find it in a high grade because there's plenty of them out there. And that's Conan 37. This is the one of the rare ones where he did the interior of the art. I think is this did he do the cover? I think he did the cover to this. Yeah. Yeah, but he did the interior. It's a great book. There's a lot of great early Conan books that I love. And he also I think he inked one of them early on, but I might be thinking about Early Chan, which would have been after this, but just kind of a one-off. Wanted to include that one as well. And lastly, the Marvel comic books. Neal Adams didn't do as many, but he's got a couple of little chunks in here that he did that are really great books. Firstly, the Avengers. So he did the cover of Avengers 92, and then he did the interior for 93. And I have kind of a beat up copy. I've had this since I was a kid. I've read this, I don't know how many times, and it is such a great book. I mean, the art in it is some of his best stuff. I mean, it's tough to say with Neal Adams, this is his best stuff because he's got so much that's his best stuff, but that's a great book. 95, the cover I'm not a fan of, but the interior is fantastic. There's a lot of great images of so many iconic Avenger characters in there. I'm missing 94, I think it was. Yeah, 94 I'm missing, but I have all the way up to 96. I don't think he didn't do 97. I don't think. Comment below. I'm not sure. And then there's these two. These are two one-offs. It's totally random, or two-offs, I should say. Thor 180 and Thor 181. And these aren't the best of the Neal Adams, but I mean, you read these books and you go through it, and there's just some good moments in it. It's kind of an interesting story because Loki and Thor trade places, and one's pretending to be the other, and Thor has to kind of redeem himself, but he's Loki, so he has to go around and nobody believes him because he's Loki. So 181. He didn't do the covers for these. I don't think he did. Did he? No. I think these are Buscema covers, and then the interior is all Neal Adams. So it's good stuff. And then lastly, the XMen series is some of the best stuff that he did. And I don't have all these. I have, most of them. I think the biggest one I'm missing is 60, and then whatever the one, I think it's 63 that has Magneto in the cover. But I have 56. 57 is such a great book. I mean, there's so much good stuff in there. And then I have, this is, I saved this. Actually, I'll save that for last. But I have 61. I'm missing 59 and 60. And then I have 62. I'm looking to get 63, which is that Magneto cover. And then I have 65. All of these, I think there's a trade paperback that you can get that has all those in it. And I'd like to get that so I could just sit and read it. It's really some of the best work that he's done. And then finally, I don't buy a lot of slabs, but I got this one because, Heritage was just doing it, and nobody was bidding on it. And I got a pretty decent copy. I mean, I look at it and I've read the reader notes. It's really in good condition. I don't see really any ticks. It says white pages, but I almost feel like that's maybe an off grade because it looks a little cream. But the first appearance of Havoc in costume, Alex Summers shows up before this, but this is the first appearance of him as Havoc, and it's a 7.0. I have 56, 57, 58. I need to get 59, and 60 is a great issue too. So I don't have that one, but this is one of the few slabs that I have, and I really appreciate it. It's a great one to have. So that is my Neal Adams collection. If you are a Neal Adams fan, please click like and subscribe below. I'd love to have more subscribers. I'd love to have more viewers. I'm going to do more of these comic book ones. I think I'm going to do a Todd McFarlane one because as a kid growing up, I was just obsessed with Todd McFarlane. So wait for one of those. If you click like and subscribe, you'll get chimed into that one when it comes. So thanks for listening. I'm Foxy Cellars. Appreciate it.